Oh, Missy, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Missy. Hello, welcome back to Madmen with the Box. I'm one of the Madmen, Chris. I'm back to talk about Missy. Not just the character. She has her own Big Finish audio series, just called Missy. Yeah, plain and simple, Missy. So, Missy has been in another audio series before. I think that's where she debuted in the Diary of River song, if I'm correct. I think it was series 4 or 5 where River met various incarnations of the Master, Missy being one of them. I think she was in the first story, Bechdel test, I believe it was called. So very similar to Eric Roberts' Movie Master, having appeared in different stories as a supporting character or the antagonist. It's decided, let's give Missy her own series as well, in a very similar vein. So I'm going to talk about them. There's 4 stories here. They're A Spoonful of Mayhem, Divorce, Beheaded, Regenerated, The Broken Clock, and The Belly of the Beast. So let's begin with, well, obviously the first one, A Spoonful of Mayhem. So the story is, for a crime she is about to commit sometime in the future, Missy is forced to take a job. I know, very relatable. I hate that too. I hate that I have to work. The pay's good, but I don't like working. If I could get rid of that part and just get paid, perfect. The perfect job. But Missy is forced to take on the job as a governess in Victoria, London, looking after 2 children, Oliver and Lucy, the latter of which is portrayed by Alex Kingston's niece, Alex Kingston, who portrays River Song. Missy made a Big Finish audio debut in a River Song story. It all connects. Wow, I'm such a genius, aren't I? It's just those Asian genes. But anyway, A Spoonful of Mayhem. This is probably the weakest story of these 4, and it's unfortunate that it's the first. You really want the first one to really pull you in. It's like, wow, I'm gonna listen to some more. This is gonna be great. It's not bad. It's just not as good as the other ones. I was much more interested and invested in the other stories compared to this one. It has its kind of moments in it. I do like the dynamic of like Missy having to take the job, but she still wants to do her own thing. Obviously, she has her own plans. Having to be a governess is not going to change this. So her interactions with Lucy and Oliver, they're great. It's just, unfortunately, it just wasn't a particularly strong episode or a strong starter for this audio series, for series 1 of Missy. So if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. By that leads us into the second episode, which is probably my second favorite, Divorced, Beheaded, Regenerated. Missy meets with another renegade Time Lord who has also been an antagonist to the Doctor, the monk. No, not that monk. That's a different monk. This monk, yeah, correct, okay, that monk, the meddling monk. The meddling monk has been hiding because of the Time War and wants to be retrieved. So how is he going to do this? Well, he's going to change history. That's going to draw enough attention for the Time Lords to decide, well, we got to get him back. We got to stop him from doing that. But as we know at this point, the Time Lords aren't doing anything because they were trapped in a pocket universe. When they escaped, they decided, we're just going to hide at the end. Alright, we're not going to go back to doing our actual jobs that we did before. We're just going to chill out here. So it's up to Missy to do this, but Missy also has her ulterior motives, because it wouldn't be Missy if she had her own plans. But I really like this episode. I think this is I really like this story. I always like when 2 different villains interact with each other. So it's especially when you have 2 villains of the Doctor interacting with one another, because I know they're in Ravenous 4. There's a moment when I think the 11, who is another villain or antagonist to the Doctor, another Time Lord, tries to team up with the 3 different versions of the Master. It's like, hey, we're both we're both the nemesis of the Doctor. Like, we're both the same. Let's team up. And they all just kill him instead. It's just like, no, we're the nemesis of the Doctor. You are nothing. Don't even compare yourselves to us. Which is, I think, is in line with how the Master would think, regardless of any incarnation. That the Master would think that. So the interactions between Missy and the monk, absolutely good. I like this story. If I had to rate it, I would give this one a 8 out of 10. Which then leads to The Broken Clock. This is my personal favorite of this series. I love not just the premise, but the setting of it. So the story is that it's kind of done at like a crime show, like, you know, like How to Make a Murderer, like something like that. But they're talking about like different like criminal cases, and one is the like case of like this impossible killer where somebody would die, but when they find the body, like the body has aged somehow. Like, there's a security guard who died, but it was suddenly like died of like I think it just died of old age, despite the fact he wasn't old when he was there. Or like a woman who's like pacemaker or whatever in her heart has gone out, but despite the fact like days before it was just replaced and it shouldn't have run out of like battery and stuff like that. So it's recounted like that. You have all these actors like portraying like the lead detective, but Missy gets involved and it starts like breaking the fourth wall. Like, the actors can now hear the narrator and they're annoyed by the narrator. Like, another of the security guards who's Missy said, "Oh, you're gonna die in like, I don't know, like 20 minutes or something," and the narrator keeps reminding the security guard of it, and the security guard is annoyed at this fact. I really liked this episode. I really liked the premise of it, how it's structured. It was such a delight to listen to. So if I had to rate this, I would give this a 8.5 out of 10. It's just above Divorce, Beheaded, Regenerated. And that comes to our finale, The Belly of the Beast. Wrong beast, it's just a beast. It's not the Series 2 devil influence, it's just a beast. Missy is nearing the completion of some of her plans, but to do this, she needs to subjugate a planet, bend the inhabitants to her will, make them slaves to do this, but, as always, the slaves they're rising up. Good old slaves rising up. Freedom! Whatever Mel Gibson says, whatever. So I think this was a good episode. It somewhat connects stuff that happens in the second and third stories. I did like the kind of twist with the slaves. There's also a twist that was very obvious. It's not even that much of a spoiler because you can just tell the twist, obviously. There's a resistance, and the leader of the resistance turns out to be just Missy from the future, and it's not much of a spoiler because you can absolutely tell that it's just Michelle Gomez with using like a deeper voice or a different accent, or might even just be her like, I don't think it's not a natural accent. It's just like it's like a very put on either like Scottish or Irish accent. So it's very obviously, oh, that's just Missy. I thought the twist would have just been that it was just Missy was both of them at the same time. Technically, yes, but it's actually Missy from 2 points in time. The present day one, and then the future one to make sure that everything goes on track. So it was a very obvious twist. It wasn't really hidden well, but I did like the story. Regardless, so I'd give this one a 7 out of 10. So it's at the third. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed listening to Missy Series 1. So much I've already bought Missy Series 2. So I'm very interested and looking forward to listening to that, because I know the first story of Series 2 is kind of pivotal to explaining how there are Masters after Missy, because the TV show doesn't explain it. And if you've only watched the TV show, you're going to be confused because you definitely 100% saw Missy die, and it was told she could not regenerate. So then when we're introduced to the Spy Master, we're not given an explanation. The Doctor wouldn't know, obviously. The Doctor wouldn't know. The Doctor wouldn't know that Missy died, but us, the audience, we know that how'd this happen. Like, she perma died. So I know series 2 of Missy, the first story, kind of pivotal to explaining that. So I'm really interested to listening to that. I know what happens, but I actually want to listen to the story itself. And then of course apparently the monk returns in there, so I'm very interested to see that again. But I definitely like this one. If you liked Missy, you will definitely probably like this series. But the theme, I almost forgot. I was about to end this. I almost forgot. The theme, it's very kind of whimsical, adventurous. I've seen some people say it's kind of like Mary Poppins-esque, which I kind of see, especially with the first story, her being like a governess, having to look after these children. I can kind of see that. It's, again, not my favorite of the Master's themes for Big Finish, War Master art. But I did like it. It oddly fits and doesn't fit Missy. It's kind of somewhat of a weird choice as a theme, because it sounds like a normal kind of like track you would use in like an adventure story in, you know, Victoria, London. There's a chase going on and you have this soundtrack playing in the background, and that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like the theme of like a villain of the Master, of Missy. So it's a bit weird. It's not bad, but it also fits and oddly doesn't fit with Missy. It's complicated how I've come to this reasoning. It's just my thoughts on it. But that is it for my talk/review of Missy Series 1. Definitely go check out my previous one on Master. Sorry, I did it again. It's because it's the American one, Master. Definitely go check that one out. Check out all of our previous videos, such as we're definitely talking more about some of the Big Finish stuff, considering we have isn't what, like Easter until the next episode, because we definitely have a video of Eve of the Daleks out soon. So definitely check out all those videos, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next one. Ciao.